Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to the first Sunday of Advent. Today's reading comes from Mark's 13th chapter, verses 24 through 37. Jesus said, "In those days, after the suffering, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will be falling from heaven, and the powers in the heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. And then he will send out the angels and gather his elect from the four winds, from the ends of the earth to the ends of heaven. From the fig tree, learn its lesson. As soon as its branch becomes tender and puts forth its leaves, you know that summer is near. So also, when you see these things taking place, you know that he is near at the very gates. Truly I tell you, this generation will not pass away until all these things have taken place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. But about the day or hour no one knows, neither the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. Beware, keep alert, for you do not know when the time will come. It's like a man going on a journey when he leaves home and he puts slaves in charge, each with his own work, and commands the doorkeeper to be on the watch. Therefore, keep awake, for you do not know when the master of the house will come, in the evening or at midnight or at cockcrow or at dawn, or else he may find you asleep when he comes suddenly. And what I say to you, I say to all, keep awake." The Gospel of the Lord. There's a new book called Life is in the Transitions, Mastering Change at Any Age. Carol ordered this book online. We both read through it and found it fascinating. One of the taglines of the book is, "Transitions are coming. Be prepared." This fits in well with 2020, don't you think? Life always changing. And it leaves us with this question. When change comes your way, when challenges and obstacles and setbacks come your way, and if you haven't already encountered them, you probably will. When that happens, what do? How do you react? This book is filled with different stories about people who face challenges and handle them in different ways. There's a story about a boy named Lev. He's born in the Soviet Union at the height of the Cold War. When Lev was 5 years old, the food system collapsed. When he was 10, the country collapsed. When he was 11, his mother brought him to New York City with 2 suitcases and a 6-month fellowship. The day they were scheduled to return to Moscow, a coup broke out. Lev begged his mother to stay, but they had nothing to live on, and they became homeless. They stayed in libraries and bus stations. Lev suffered from 7 different pneumonias. Eventually, his mother found help, and they moved into an apartment. And when Lev entered a school, he says he had no way at all to relate to his peers. He says he was raised on The Simpsons and The Price is Right. It was a tough go. But he developed a very deep love for America. He went to college. He won a Rhodes Scholarship. He earned a PhD, and he currently runs a program that helps kids like him seek the American dream. Talk about a person with one challenge after another. There's another story about a different kind of challenge. A woman named Kate, a seminary student. She was visiting her parents one summer in Joplin, Missouri. Kate and her family had a system when a tornado siren would go off. Her dad would monitor the weather outside, and she and her mom would go into the basement crawl space. One afternoon, the sirens went off, Kate and her mother went down into the crawl space, but this time her dad joined within minutes. This was the first time he had ever come down there. Kate describes what happened next, saying this: "The lights started blinking. You could hear a rushing sound like a freight train, the loudest thing you've ever heard, and then shattering glass. And my dad said, 'There goes the house.' By the time the noise stopped, the water heater had fallen and blocked their escape, and natural gas was pouring in. The house was a pile of matchsticks. But Kate's dad tied a jacket to a piece of PVC pipe, and he waved it like a flag so someone might see them. Her grandpa spotted it from a mile away and worked with others to free the family. They survived the deadliest tornado to hit the U.S. in 70 years. Talk about dramatic changes. Our gospel reading this morning talks about great suffering. And one thing is certain, in our own lives, sometimes it's tough to see God's goodness, isn't it? Especially during difficult days. There are times when you may not feel God is good at all. You won't feel His mercy. You pray and you hear nothing. Even Jesus on the cross says, my God, why have you forsaken me?" We go through these experiences sometimes in life. Why? Why, God? Where are you? And I suspect the question has come up for many of us over the last 8 months. But maybe you have experienced, after a bad situation, that things turn out differently than you think they will. It's only later, when you look back, that you see God's goodness and how He was working for good when you thought He was absent. Now, it doesn't mean only good things will happen to you, because bad things do happen. But God can bring good out of them. I went back and I read my predictions for the year 2020. Wow, was I off. But I do wonder if all of the strangeness that we are currently living through might not be working towards a number of positive things that are still yet to come. I am seeing a number of people refocusing their priorities on things that matter. Families focusing on relationships, people coming together for strength. I'm seeing others reaching out to people who have big needs. I'm seeing generosity in places I did not expect. And I do think we are at the beginning of a resurgence in faith. People getting back involved with God. So many of us are realizing what is important in life. We're realizing what it means to dig into our faith, to rely again on God. What it means to turn to God instead of giving in to fear. We are seeing incredible strength in our own church community. In the New Testament, Paul was falsely imprisoned in Rome. Was that a good thing? Absolutely not. And yet, while he was there, he wrote some books that became much of what we now call the New Testament. His words and thoughts have brought incredible strength to this world. Goodness followed his imprisonment. All of us have benefited from Paul's hard times. You see, goodness can follow. In the midst of difficulties, Paul stuck with God. He remained faithful. We experience many different days in our lives, don't we? Some are happy, some are sad, some are joyous, others difficult. We don't know what's going to happen. There's an old parable that says, all sunshine and no rain makes a desert. If you never have any down times, dark times, gloomy times in your life, you'll dry up. You'll have no depth to yourself. You'll have no maturity. It takes good times and bad times to make a mature person. Life is a mixture of beauty and ugliness, of pleasure and pain, of victory, of defeat, success, failure, mountaintops and valleys. One pastor said it like this, pointing out a simple fact. It is interesting to note that when teachers want students to grow, they don't give them answers, they give them problems. If a train leaves Cleveland at 3 going 50 miles an hour, it is only in the process of accepting and solving problems that our ability to think creatively is enhanced, our persistence is strengthened, and our own self-confidence is deepened. If someone gives me the answers, I may get a good score on a test, but I will not have grown. Just as our bodies simply will not grow stronger without being challenged to the point of exertion, so it is with our mind and our spirit. How are you challenging your mind and your spirit right now? Are you growing in faith? Are you sticking with God? Or are you wanting to stop in the midst of hard times and let others work out the problems that you encounter? The challenges are before us. We didn't choose these, but we absolutely do choose what we are going to do about them. We do choose how we will live in the midst of hard times. Even in the darkest valleys, our darkest days, God is present. These valleys, you can't plan them, you can't time them, you can't schedule them. Valleys are so unexpected, and they usually come at the worst time, when you don't have time, when you are not prepared. It would be very great if we could schedule our down times in life, but you cannot plan life like that. Valleys come suddenly, very unpredictable. Have you ever noticed how easily a good day can become a bad day? A phone call, a letter, a routine doctor's checkup, a freak accident. Valleys just happen. No one is immune. No one is insulated from pain or from sorrow. No one gets to skate through life without problems. Everyone has problems and trials and difficulties and disturbances and downtimes. Now, here's the thing that's hard to understand. Valleys are a part of life. Here's the thing we have to remember. They are temporary. They have an end to them. They do not last. They are not a permanent location. King David once wrote these words, "Even though I walk through the valley is not somewhere you stay your entire life. It is something you go through. A circumstance, a situation that has a season to it." When you're in a valley, you often think it is a dead end, but it isn't. It's like a tunnel. There is a beginning, there is an end, and you go through the tunnel, eventually you're out of it, and you come back into the light again. Valleys do not come into your life to stay, they come to pass. And to bring it into the big picture, If indeed every human being is headed to eternal life with a perfect and loving God, as our faith tells us, the valley will certainly one day pass away. As King David says, I will live in the house of the Lord forever. Hard times bring choices. We grow or we diminish. And either way, God is with us. But I hope you have the courage to stand strong and to grow. And to know with certainty that come what may in this life, goodness and love are always ahead of us. In fact, they will be with us forever. I'd like to close with this promise. Weeping may last through the night, the psalmist says, but joy comes in the morning. I don't know when your morning is going to come. Maybe it'll be tomorrow. Maybe it'll be next week. Maybe it'll be next year. Or maybe it will be at the resurrection. But it's coming. So hold on.